Hey, how's it going everyone? It's me, it's Count, and welcome to another Pokemon Go video. Today I wanted to talk about berries. The main objective of this video will be to teach you the proper and most efficient way you can utilize these items for your benefit. If you use berries correctly, you can prevent some of the rarest Pokemon from running away, and you can collect a ton of Stardust and Experience every day. These are the things I'm going to be explaining in this guide video. Right, so with that said, let's roll the intro and jump right into it. So berries are items that most players tend to ignore or just straight up throw away to make bag space for other items. I believe this is a huge mistake, because berries have so many different uses in Pokemon Go. If you simply throw them away, you are throwing away a ton of Stardust and Experience, as well as what is potentially a huge collection of rare Pokemon. Okay, so first, let's talk about each individual berry that exists in Pokemon Go, and what exactly each of these berries do. When it comes to catching Pokemon, each berry comes with a specific bonus or function. Currently, there are 3 different berries that increase the chances of you catching a Pokemon, 2 different berries that increase the amount of candy you get when catching a Pokemon, and 1 berry that affects the behavior of the Pokemon while you try to catch it. The first berry I want to talk about is probably the one berry every player comes across first, and that is raspberries. This berry looks like a reddish bundle of grapes in appearance and is probably the most basic berry in the game. What it does is that it increases your chances of catching a Pokemon by a small percent when you use it while trying to catch a Pokemon. These can be useful if you're trying to catch a certain Pokemon that is difficult to catch, such as evolved wild spawns or raid bosses. Now, the better version of this particular berry is the golden raspberry. This berry looks exactly like the regular raspberries, but it is a deep orange color. These berries are typically only obtained from raid battles, but you can also get them from research rewards or through your buddy. These work exactly like the regular version, only the percent chance is increased by a tremendous amount. The best place to use these berries are for catching legendaries or Pokemon with very high difficult catch rates. Next, let's go over the Nanab berry. This berry has the appearance of pink bananas, which is totally unique from the other berries. What this berry does is also quite unique, in that it sort of soothes the Pokemon you are trying to catch so that it stays in place. This will allow you to throw the ball easier, which in turn should allow you to catch the Pokemon with less difficulty. A lot of players tend to not ever use this berry, as any of the other berries are seemingly more useful. Likewise, when catching legendaries, it is usually more favored for the Pokemon to attack often, as you need it to do the attack animation to pull off the set circle trick. Thus, it is highly advised that you never use Nanab berries for legendaries if you plan to use this trick. Now let's move on to my personal favorite berry, and that is the Pinap berry. This berry has the shape of a small round yellow pineapple. Using this berry will double the amount of candy you get when catching a Pokemon. The best time to use this berry is during spotlight hours and community days. You should also use Pinap berries when catching rare and uncommon Pokemon in the wild and research rewards, as getting candies for these could be quite difficult. Thus, Pinap berries are great for helping you evolve and powering up your best Pokemon. You should also use these berries on common Pokemon with low evolution costs like Pidgey, Caterpie, and Weedle, as you can then mass evolve these for a huge amount of experience. And on the flip side, use Pinap berries on Pokemon with extremely high evolution costs like Magikarp. Now, Pinap berries are not the only berries that increase the amount of candy that you gain from catching. There is also the better version, and it is Silver Pinap berries. In terms of appearance, silver pinap berries are a metallic gray colored small round pineapple. These work just like regular pinap berries, only they give one extra candy on top of the double, and they increase the chance that you will catch the Pokemon at the same rate as a regular raspberry. Simply speaking, silver pinap berries are a combination of regular pinap berries and regular raspberries. Probably the best place to use these berries is for low IV legendary raid encounters. Now, for every one of these berries, you can only use them one at a time, and the effect of these berries do not stack. This means that if you use a pinap berry and fail to catch it, but then use a raspberry and catch the Pokemon, you will not get double the candy. Whatever berry you used last at the moment you catch the Pokemon is the berry bonus that will be applied. Keep this in mind so that you can figure out which berry you will want to use when catching a particular Pokemon. Okay, now let's go over where berries can be used outside of catching. First off, you can use berries to feed your Pokemon that are defending gyms. Of course, ever since the gym battling system was reworked several years ago, most players often do not continuously feed their Pokemon berries because of how the current gym battling system works. Specifically, the current gym battling system actually discourages you from defending your Pokemon for an extended period of time, as the only way for you to receive your free daily 50 Pokecoins, the Pokemon that are defending your gym needs to get knocked out of them. Thus, plenty of players tend to ignore the feeding aspect of gym battles, as they are more encouraged to let their Pokemon get defeated after a certain period of time. However, this is definitely a huge mistake. For each berry that you feed to a Pokemon, you get 30 Stardust and 50 experience points. Now, this may not seem like much, but if you're consistently feeding your defending Pokemon berries, this can all add up to quite a lot. For each Pokemon in a gym, you can feed 10 berries to that Pokemon every 30 minutes. This means that if the gym has all 6 slots filled, you can feed 10 berries to each of these Pokemon, then you could potentially get up to 1800 Stardust and 3000 experience points for basically no effort. This will also clear up your bag space of berries and net you a consistent stream of Stardust and Experience outside of your catches. Now, when it comes to feeding berries to gym defenders, I highly suggest you only use regular raspberries, regular pinap berries, and nanap berries. The specialty berries are harder to come by, and they have a much smaller limit to the amount of them you can feed. However, if you're sitting on an excess of them and need to clear your bag space, then feel free to feed with them. Now, aside from feeding berries to gym defenders, you can also feed berries to your buddy Pokemon, which will make it actively following alongside you in the game world. Even if you are not grinding for best buddies, this is a good way for you to collect candy from walking with your buddy. Rather than tossing away your berries, consider feeding them to your buddy Pokemon instead. Okay, now that I talked about all of the various uses for berries, let's talk about how you can get them en masse. Probably the most straightforward way is by spinning as many Pokestops and gyms as you can, but not everyone lives in highly populated areas. Probably one of the best ways you can collect berries outside of spinning Pokestops is through opening gifts. One of the common items you get from gifts is actually pinap berries. If you're consistently opening up 20 gifts per day, you should come out with about 15 to 20 pinap berries. This is a great daily source for these berries. You can also look for research tasks with berry rewards, which are quite common and easy to complete. Take a trip and spend a day grinding Pokestops and research tasks in a highly populated area, and you should be stocked up for several days afterward. Now, when it comes to the 2 specialty berries, the sources are a little bit more contrived. With golden raspberries, probably the single best source is going to be through raid battles. Depending on the level of the raid, you can get a whole bunch of these for completing them. In most cases, it will be a guaranteed reward, and players who raid heavily typically have a huge surplus of them. Now, when it comes to silver pinap berries, I found that the best source for them is actually through the Go Battle League. It is one of the common items you can get as a reward for winning your battles. If you want a whole bunch of these, then make sure you're keeping up to date with your Go Battle League battles. But if you're not much of a battler, then you can also get these special berries from research tasks as well as with your weekly Adventure Sync rewards. Alright, so that pretty much covers all the bases when it comes to berries. Leave your thoughts down below in the comment section and tell me what you are using your berries for. And if you found this video to be helpful, hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. I am Count Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I will catch you all later.